Today we're raising Chevreuse, honestly a pretty interesting character. We did already get her up to 40 to see what talent book she needs. We should be able to continue now. I think we will have a little farming to do, mainly just with the world bosses. We had so many of these bells already, just randomly picking them up. And finally, a character that doesn't need transoceanic pearls. Oh, I lied. We actually did farm exactly enough to get her up to 70 anyway. One trip to the alchemy station later, and we can actually go ahead and ascend her and get her to level 70. With that, we can do the good old talent and constellation overview. Her normal / charge attacks are and will remain basic, both in animation and ability. So there's really nothing to say there. With Chevreuse, I would say it's her skill that's the core of her kit, really. It does come with a tap and a hold variation. The tap does appear to be worse in pretty much every way. It does have less damage and even less potential damage, as well as not even a shorter cooldown like many taps would as opposed to holds. But yeah, tapping it, you get an AoE pyro attack and the active character will be healed for 12 seconds. This healing is based on her max HP, but her damage is based on attack, so she's a bit of a split scaler. The hold does pretty much the same thing, but if at any time you triggered the overloaded reaction, which is pyro and electro, she'll gain an overcharge ball, making this attack stronger and bigger. Looking at the level 1 multipliers, there is a pretty big difference between press and hold then hold and overcharged ball. Talking about the healing, it's a bit better than I expected. It lasts for 12 seconds, so nearly the entire cooldown of her skill. Her burst is pretty simple, almost like Klee's Jumpty Bumpties. Big pyro attack followed by a bunch of little bombs that then explode to do more damage. Multiplier on the initial hit and the secondary explosives are actually pretty good though. This is level 1. Her passives I think are kind of insane for being a 4-star. Her first one here reduces the pyro and electro resistance of the opponents by 40% when they're hit with overloaded. For this to work, you do need to have your entire team comprised of pyro and electro, and obviously at least one of each, but 40% res reduction is much bigger than I was expecting. And her second passive is up to a party-wide 40% attack increase. This buff only does go to pyro and electro, so if you're taking advantage of her first passive, then it is basically party-wide. After she fires her held E with an overcharged ball, again, the overcharged ball, pretty easy to get. All you need to do is an overloaded attack. This buff is based on her max HP, 1% per 1000 HP, so 40,000 to max out. That's probably gonna be very hard for us until we hit level 90, but we'll see how close we can get. Her exploration ability reduces sprinting stamina consumption by 20%, which is honestly one of the better passives here. Taking a look at her constellations, if you're in a team full of pyros and electros, thus taking advantage of her first passive, when someone besides Chevreuse does overloaded, they'll get 6 energy up to every 10 seconds. It's nothing insane, mainly because of the pretty long 10-second cooldown on it, but it's fine. C2 is essentially an upgrade for her skill, some extra pyro explosions after hitting a target. C3 is for her skill, 3 talent levels. C4 I think is where she really starts getting interesting though. After doing her ultimate, you can do her held E twice without it going on cooldown. C5 is a talent level upgrade for her burst. And then finally C6 is where it gets really good. After this passive healing from her E goes on for 12 seconds, which it will after one full E, you'll get a party-wide heal of 10% of her max HP. And considering she's already almost constantly healing the active character, that should keep the rest of your team topped up pretty well. But the much more impressive thing, of course, is the second paragraph. 60% pyro and electro damage bonus. I'm not sure right now if they'll still get this bonus if they're at max HP. I don't have a C6 to test. For now, I will assume they do need to get healed just based on how it's worded here, which is a little unfortunate because outside of like Farina and maybe a Bloom team, there's no real easy way to make sure your characters are not at full health and thus getting actually healed and getting the stacks. Anyway, moving on to build, I couldn't find any super good 4-star weapons for her. We're giving her Favonius Lance. Over at the Fontaine Blacksmith, there is a weapon called Rightful Reward. We're gonna buy the blueprint, and I think this weapon would actually be pretty good for her. It does have HP main stat, which seems to be very rare for pole arms. Good amount of base attack too. I think the passive is okay too. We get some energy regeneration here. But yeah, we're probably just gonna stick with Favonius. It's just such a universally good support weapon. As for artifacts, I guess this will depend somewhat on how you choose to use her. I think like a God mode Chevreuse would go with Crimson Witch, especially after C4 where you can actually get the 3 stacks and get the pyro damage increased on the 2-piece. It also increases overloaded damage by 40%, which, I mean, she's an overloaded character. Since ours isn't C4 and probably won't be able to do a lot of damage, we're most likely just going to try and stack some HP so she's a better healer and so we can get as much of that attack boost as possible from her second passive, which means like maybe 2-piece Tenacity, 2-piece Varuksh's Glow. I think when you are trying to build her as a DPS, a lot of her damage will come from skills, so Golden Troop's another option. There is the new set Song Song of Days Past, which I haven't farmed yet. The trial run Chevreuse was in this set. I did do a math on this set, but I'm still not sure exactly how it works. So I'm gonna try and get to that eventually. So for now, at least for this showcase, we are mainly just focused on HP and her being a support. We are also going triple HP on Sans, Goblet, and Circlet. It would be more DPS-y again, with more investment, but is what it is for now. She would also have a different weapon, most likely Staff of Homa. So even going as much HP as humanly possible, we're still only at 35k. So I would imagine even at level 90, it would be pretty hard to max out her second passive. Granted, if we would give her Staff of Homa, that would already help a decent amount. I mean, nearly at 37 now. But yeah, of course, we got to raise her talents before moving on to the showcase here. So again, I'm just going to get them all up to 6. Besides normal, I don't think normal is going to be important ever really. So let's just start with this. Taking a look at the upgraded multipliers at level 6 here, we have 395 for the overcharged ball damage. Kind of expecting a little bit more actually. Again, though, her damage isn't really the focus of this video. It's more just what she's giving to the rest of the team, which for now is 40% pyro and electro, res reduction, 35% attack, and some passive healing. Quick look at final stats. We just have a bunch of HP. I did try and get some crit rate subs because we do have Favonius currently and we need to crit. She has 167 energy recharge, which I don't think is even necessary because she's not built to do damage right now, especially until C4 where, you know, she would get those free E casts. We did decide to get her up to C2. I don't think either of them do all that much anyway. But yeah, I guess we're ready to try her out. In terms of team, I kind of did just want to try the banner team. These are the 4 characters you can summon on the banner. You could also throw official in there instead of Sarah. But yeah, I mean, how it is here, it's basically just all to buff Shogun. She is the main DPS, of course. One thing I'll probably start doing is when I decide on a team, I'm going to show the team and their build as well, because I guess that is maybe important context. So here are my Shogun stats. We got 2,500 attack, 53 crit, 139 crit damage, 250 energy. Is that overkill? Jeez. 82 electro damage. She's got her signature engulfing lightning, 4-piece emblem, crit rate, electro damage bonus, and attack. And she is C6, but I've said this like so many times, her C6 is really not that great. Got Miss Splitter Bin Boy here just because it's my highest base attack weapon. He's in 4-piece oblige. There are multiple ways to build Binny. Mine's just kind of a sub DPS just because attack, pyro, crit rate. Actually though, since swapping to Miss Splitter, he doesn't have quite enough energy recharge anymore, so I'm going to give him that. Just steal this from Mika. There, now we have 200 energy. I think that's fine. Also, it's only his base attack that matters, so he is, of course, also C6. Doesn't matter for this team. Shogun will attack with Electro regardless in burst mode. Sarah also C6, gets that nice 60% crit damage for Electro damage. Sarah's attack boost also scales with base attack, so I just have her in Skyward Harp. Has a lot of base attack. Decent little crit ratio there, actually. 174 energy, I think that's enough. And she's also pretty much how I build Binny, quite sub DPS-ish. Oh yeah, talent levels. We got 7, 13, 13 for Shogun, 7, 11, 13 for Binny. Of course, 166 for Chevreuse, and 111, 9 for Sarah. I think we're going to go ahead and get that up to 12. She is unfortunately not quite as good as Binny in terms of not only the attack boost, but also its duration is cut in half. But still at C6, I think the 60% crit damage makes up for it at least a little bit. Honestly, before we even move on to actually fighting, I just want to kind of see how she heals. So we're just going to tap that and let's go to our Sarah. I mean, it's actually not bad. 1,700. The team we are in currently has very low HP units. You know, Shogun has 17k, Sarah has 17k, Binny has a little bit more at 22k. I mean, 1,700 is not a massive amount of healing, but it's almost 100% uptime for the active character, so like it's not horrible either. So we are going to start with actually my whale weekly boss. I still have to do that. This is one of the harder weekly bosses in my opinion, unless you have a super overpowered team and you can just kill him before even that second phase starts. Yeah, okay, nothing of note really. We're about to get devoured. We didn't do pretty much any damage to the whale so far. We'll see how this phase goes here. We're gonna start like a full real rotation now on him. So we're gonna do that, go to Binny, do his burst real quick. We're gonna hold Chevreuse, do her E and burst, and then go ahead and go back to Shogun to do a hopefully decent attack there. I didn't see what that did at all. We are like still kind of even really doing any damage right now. We're just mainly trying to get rid of his shield. Okay, so that went okay. Our team is hurting a little bit now. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I'm screwing everything up. We did get a nice little attack there though. We don't have any buffs right now. We'll see how it goes though, I guess. Let's hold that to get that. I mean, Sarah just did a pretty good amount of damage there. I mean, we got through him. Actually, that wasn't too bad. I mean, basically right now we're just looking at Chevreuse's buffs. I couldn't really see much on the whale, so let's continue on here a little bit. We do have this special bullet, so we'll do that for the attack boost. We only have that for now. Let's just see what we can do on Masanori here. He blocked. This is why you don't visit you anymore, Masanori. So let's try and be a little bit faster, I guess. Do have to hold that. Come on, go. All right, this should be decent, maybe. Goodbye, Masanori. I'm going to my new best friend, Liam. Well, I also kind of want to see what a 45% attack buff actually looks like. So our Shogun there has 2566 attack. All right, there we go. Yeah, okay, so we got like 3, maybe almost 400 attack, which I mean, for it being essentially a permanent buff is not bad. I mean, Benny gives about 1,000. Sarah gives like 700 to 800 attack, but only for 6 seconds. I think at C6, if you can consistently get these, you know, 3 stacks of 20% damage, then I think it'd be more interesting as a comparison, sort of. All right, let's give this a try. Boom. The Benny burst. The held stuff, the this, the that, the ultimate. Ooh, that was a 523 ultimate. Wow, that may be at least very close to the highest I've ever seen with my Shogun. Now Liam's kind of going insane and hurting us a lot, but that was really impressive. Let's try it again. I think we were missing, yeah, we were definitely missing something there. Because it was only a 400k, but that was a very fast Liam. Jesus, dude has, I think, around 3 million HP. My Shogun really hasn't had her build changed in very long, so yeah, I think Chevreuse is actually doing something there. My memory with Aggravate Shogun is a little hazy because it's been a long time and I didn't use it very often, and maybe we did get close to 500k or so, but I mean, we're in an overloaded team, but yeah, I think her buffs are definitely doing something here. Jesus. I know I did say we should maybe try and focus on overloaded, but like, she's not actually buffing overloaded damage at all. From my very first impression seeing her in the special program, I kind of thought she would, but there's not really an overloaded buff per se in her kit. Looking at her purely as a buffer, I think she definitely does have promise, especially at C6, but even now, I mean, just the 40% res reduction is pretty huge. I hope I can get her to C6 soon so we can see something special. Until then though, that'll do it. Tell me what you think about Chevreuse in the comments down below. Dropping a like or subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.